Okay, so today we are prepping for plumbing, which we know is going to be coming soon down the road. So we wanted to get our waste tank secured in place, but in order to do that, we needed to know exactly where the toilet is, so that, as my kids would call it, the poop pipe goes straight down into the hole in the top of our waste tank. So, like a year ago, we had our tanks custom made, and so we had kind of made a whole plan of where everything was going to go, and we brought the toilet in here and we kind of mocked up where we thought it would go, and we took measurements and we approximated as close as we could where we thought our toilet was going to go so that we could tell the company that made our tanks exactly where to put the hole. And then we were just crossing our fingers and praying that our measurements were close. So now time has finally come to do that step. And so in order to know where the toilet goes, we had to do a couple of other things first. Behind the toilet is going to be a wall. Excuse the little jigsaw puzzle of a temporary wall we have going on here. This is actually one of the bus's original walls that we demoed last year, but we saved it because we thought we could use this curve as a template. So it's been just sitting in our garage this whole time, and we've actually kind of scavenged from it for other projects. We're just using it as a temporary placement for right now until we actually build our real wall. But back to our plan here. Behind the toilet, which is going to go here, is going to be a wall, and behind the wall is a pocket door. So in order to know where the wall exactly was going to line up, we needed to figure out exactly where our pocket door hardware was going to go. So we had to build this support track that then the pocket door track fits up inside. And then the wall will be mounted to, to this support system. So we built this, and then now we know where our wall is going to be when we build our real wall. And based on that, then we can know where exactly our toilet's going to go. So we brought our toilet in here with the wall, set it up, took a bunch of measurements, and figured out exactly where the center of the hole was going to go. Drilled a pilot hole through down into the basement, and lo and behold, we had made like just a little X underneath in the bay, like on the ceiling of the bay where we thought that that hole was going to be. Like a year ago we did this, and when we drilled through there, it drilled right through our X. I don't know how that happened. That is not us being good at math or anything. That is just kind of a miracle. So we're super excited about that. It means that our tank is going to line up exactly the way we planned and hoped for. And now we can actually drill. We have a 4-inch hole saw. One's going to get that all set to go. And we're going to drill the hole for the flange to go down in. And then, again, our poop pipe that's going to attach to that, and that will go directly then into our tank. And then once we get that in place, then we can secure our tank in place, know that it's not going to move around or shift, and then we'll be able to start running all of the rest of our plumbing. So we're super excited to get started with that. Just means one more step closer to hitting the road.
Here is the mark that we made last year, where we thought that the center of the toilet might be. That's where the old toilet sat. And then we kind of predicted that this, you can kind of see the pencil mark. That's where we thought that the new one might be. So it's kind of funny that it went right through.
What is happening?
I don't know.
Okay, stop.
I don't know what's happening.
Is it straight?
It looks pretty straight.
Okay.
No?
I mean, it doesn't look, I don't know.
Alright, so we should now have the hole we just drilled in should be big enough for this flange now, and so it fits in there pretty much perfect. And so there's 8 holes here. What we're thinking about doing is, in order to have the most flexibility in positioning the toilet, rather than position it at the extreme end, we could do it like this, where we line up the holes with these little guys. If we do it like this, it'll give us a little bit of play on either side if the toilet is just a little bit off kilter, and it should still have a pretty good hold. So that's what we're going to try there. So next up, we're going to try to cut the pipe and fit the pipe underneath, and continue with the project. Alright, well, I'm retiring this drill. We broke the handle completely off yesterday. So this drill's getting retired. It was a good drill. I remember using this drill with my dad. But now we've replaced him with this one. So hopefully it works out. We drilled our first holes with it this morning. And we drilled a big 4-inch hole for the toilet flange. So it seemed to have plenty of power, so we'll see. So we're saying goodbye to this poor drill. We'll see you later. Alright, back outside now. We can see the flange fits pretty much perfect in there. So it's tight. So anyway, the pipe will come down here, and then it will go into that top hole there. So I've got the water tank pushed way back right now because I didn't want a bunch of sawdust falling in. So anyway, we'll take a few measurements and get it hooked up. Alright, so now on to the next pieces. So we bought this 3-inch piece of pipe because we had our tank plumbed for 3-inch inlet on the toilet. So this is also a 3-inch flange that we bought. And then, so this guy will screw into the toilet, and he will go on this piece of black PVC. And then I bought this because online I was told that, although this shouldn't move, there's a possibility that there could be some movement in the tank and stuff like that. And so these are just cheap insurance, basically. So what people do is they will mount a short piece here, then put this on, and then and couple the 2 pieces together with these. So we'll probably use these also on all of the other plumbing as well. The other nice thing it does is if we have to remove this tank, if there's something wrong or if it leaks or something like that, we can loosen these up, pull these out of the way, and then actually manage to pull the tank out without having to cut a bunch of stuff and without having to redo all the plumbing. You basically take these out and then you can pull the whole thing out. So we will very likely be using these in quite a few places just to give us that flexibility of being able to pull the tank out and being able to work on it and stuff like that. So anyway, these are just, this is a 3-inch because this is a 3-inch pipe, but they're just rubber couplers. So we were advised by several people on the bus conversion forums, and I was a little bit worried that this would provide a point of failure and that they might leak and stuff like that, but people have said, we've had our conversion for 15 years, we've had our conversion for 20 years, and they use these, and they said we've never had an issue with these. So anyway, I'm going to trust their advice, and we're going to go ahead and try to rig this up. All right, so we've started positioning the pipe just to give it a rough fit of where this is going to fit exactly. We're going to use probably some 2x6 spacers to just fill in the empty spaces. So we designed a little bit of play in these tanks so that we'd be able to move them around if we didn't get things aligned or calculated exactly right, that we would still be able to use the tanks. So anyway, it looks like our calculations are pretty spot on. We'll go inside and see what the pipe looks like in there. All right, here's the pipe on the inside. Of course, it's way too long, but we can see that it's a little bit of an angle. And that's the other thing is, if we look at the tank, the top of the tank actually bows down a little bit, and so that rubber sleeve will help to alleviate this as well without it being a major concern. So we'll go down and look at the tank real quick, but this flange will fit on top of here, and that'll be bolted into the bus floor. So anyway, that's what it looks like so far. So here's the tank, and here's what I'm talking about. If you can see, the tank kind of bows in on itself, and I kind of expected that because our last tank did that. So anyway, the rubber thing will help to take out some of that curve in this pipe. So you can see, because this is on the top there and it bows down, it angles. I don't know if that's really easy to see, but it angles just a little bit, probably like 5 or 6 degrees. Anyway, this coupler here should help to reduce the impact of that. So I got a bandsaw. I tricked Michelle into letting me buy one, and so now we have one, and I actually get to use it today. So I'm going to try to cut this pipe with it. So I've set up a fence and a couple things to keep it straight, and I'm going to try to come in here and cut the pipe. Make sure it's lined up. Yep, that's right. Okay, here we go. Beauty. And it's straight. All right, next we're going to put these pipes together. I've gone ahead and sanded the pipes all down so that there's no burrs or anything like that. So this stuff says to shake it up. It's for black ABS. So here we go. It says to seat it all the way and give it a quarter turn. So there we go. All right, so we've got this thing glued up. We're about to install it into the tank. The one thing we had read is, one we were curious about is what to use to seal it up. So we had read multiple places that said don't use pipe dope because it's petroleum based and it will eat away at the plastic. We had also seen people say don't use anything, just screw it in, and then they said go hand tight and then 1 or 2 more turns after that. We also heard people say use Teflon tape, but only use it very sparingly. So just use it a little bit. So I think that's what we're gonna go with. So we're gonna try the Teflon tape just a couple times around, maybe 3 times around, and then hopefully that'll prevent it from leaking, and then we'll put it on hand tight plus 1 turn. So let's try that.
A little bit of a gap. Does that matter?
No, not too much.
Not really? Okay.
Okay, let's see. So got on that side. So it looks like hand tight plus 1 is going to almost fully seat this thing in here. So that looks like it's pretty fully seated. So the rubber part will sit here, and then the pipe will come in from the top.
Okay, the next part is going to be measuring for this piece of pipe right here. We've already measured how far the pipe will sit up into the flange, but we need to measure then from the bottom of the flange to the top of this pipe. So let's take that measurement first. And it looks like we're at 5 1/4. So we have to do a couple things with that number. First of all, we got to add back in the part that goes up into the flange. The second thing is we have to subtract 1 inch because we're going to leave a gap of 1 inch between those 2 pipes so that when they sit in that rubber coupler right there, there's a gap that allows some flex in that piece. But we're actually going to add that inch back in because right now the flange is just sitting on the subfloor, but we know that we have to put our finished floor under that flange before we secure everything. We're not gonna be doing that for a while, but the floor that we're looking at right now is 12 millimeters plus the underlayment. Now we may change our mind on the flooring and it may actually be a little smaller than that. We haven't decided that for sure yet, but we need to allow for that flooring. So we're gonna give ourselves 1 inch, and then when we put the flooring in and fit everything back together again, we may need to shave off 1/8 of an inch or 1/4 of an inch of that piece of pipe. But at least this will give us something to start with, to work with, and we can do the final fitting later. We're not gonna cement this in yet. We're just gonna get it into place so that we can have a final alignment for our tanks, which is our ultimate goal right now, is to get these tanks secured here in the bay. And in order to do that, we need to have that pipe in place. So we've got all our numbers now, so we're gonna go mark our pipe and make a cut.
All right, so we've got it all kind of mocked up. It's been cemented into the bottom, but the top has just been kind of pressed in. And so this is what it might look like when it's finished. So we have it all secured in place, and everything we read online about doing a toilet in an RV said make sure that there is just a straight shot as possible of the toilet going straight down into the tank. So that was our whole mission with this, is to try to position this tank in place so that we would have, a place for the the toilet to be able to go straight down. And so we've kind of accomplished that. The one thing, like I said before, was the angle here, but you can see how the rubber does a fairly good job of compensating for that. So that's it. We'll show some pictures from the top just so you can kind of see in the toilet flange and how it goes straight down into the pipe. But we have this ready now. We can start to fabricate some mounts to lock these tanks into place. So this was our most important tank, our freshwater tank. We have a little bit of play on, and then our drains, which we have 2 drains here. There's one here is going to be for the shower, and then this other bung over here is going to be for the sinks. So that'll be kitchen sink, bathroom sink, plus laundry. So we're going to have laundry in there, and that one is also going to do triple duty as the vent. So the vent is going to go up through this hole here. So we've already drilled the hole where there's already a hole in the roof. So we're going to reuse that vent, and then that's going to drain all the sinks plus the washer and dryer.